But anyway, back to tonight. We have a special Q&A all about the Met. The history, the events, the people, anything you want to ask. So please welcome back, it sounds like a band, Tony and the Panelists. Thank you.
Go for it. Good else to fire, yeah. Go for it. Tony and the Panelists. Take a seat. Let's hear it for our host, ladies and gentlemen, Noreen Kershaw.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noreen.
Is there anyone here?
Thank you so much for the reception for the poem. That meant a lot to me. I nearly lost it a couple of times, did you see? But it was a thrill to share that with you. We have an esteemed panel this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll introduce them for you now. In no particular order, we have, give us a wave when I mention your name. We have Dewi Lewis, who was the first employee of Bury Metropolitan Arts Centre right back in 1975. Blank sheet of paper, let's have an arts association in Bury. Huge part of the story. Dewi went on to be the founder of the Corner House, which turned into Home in Manchester. So that's a magnificent contribution. Thank you. We have David Agnew. David started here as marketing manager, executive director through the refurb. Artistic Director. He's now the Chief Exec at Sound Roots, but David is a huge part of the story here. David, welcome. DJ Paulette. Paulette Costa. Do you hear that? Paulette is a legend in many circles. She's a Hacienda legend. She's an international club scene legend, Ibiza legend. She's a radio DJ. She's just published her memoir to great acclaim. She's just been immortalised on a really fabulous piece of street art in Manchester. Award-winning DJ Paulette. Welcome. We have Noreen Kershaw, who needs no introduction, but she's getting one. Noreen is Bury born. She's an honorary patron here, as am I. She was the original actor to play Shirley Valentine on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. She's been in Brookside, she's been in Life on Mars, too many TV credits to mention. She's directed Corrie, she's directed Shameless, she's directed Emmerdale, she's led many productions on the stage here. Ladies and gentlemen, Noreen Kershaw. Peter Labrow, I hope I'm saying that, is that right, Peter? Yeah. Peter, as I understand it, was a volunteer promoter of the legendary Tuesday night gigs here from the late 70s, the very early days of the Met, through into the 80s, programmed an absolute who's who of amazing artists here, including the legendary now Joy Division gig, which ended in something of a riot. And I look forward to hearing from Peter, ladies and gentlemen. We have Peter Nicholls of the legendary, of the incredible, legendary neo-prog outfit IQ. Peter's the lead vocalist. IQ have sustained an incredible 40-year career, 13 or more albums, 13 or more live albums, and they refer to Bury Met as their second home and hold an annual 2-day event here to which people come from all around the world. Peter, ladies and gentlemen. We have Becky. I know Becky from a wonderful organisation called Acclaimed, which used to support working class young people into leadership roles. Becky now works in the wonderful Wax and Beans coffee shop and vinyl shop just across the road. And you're very welcome again, Becky. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel. Now then, we have loads of different people here with loads of different roles in the story of the Met. We have my bottle crinkling unexpectedly. We may spend a lot of time down memory lane, and that's fine, but I also want to get some contemporary perspectives and perspectives of the now and into the future. With that in mind, could I start with you, please, Becky? Tell us about Wax and Beans, Becky, just across the road. Tell us about what goes on there, and tell us about the ways you work with the Met and what that means for the business and the community over the road.
I will do. You did actually say, tell us what goes on at Wax and Beans. I can't do that.
Okay.
It's
Top secret?
Top secret.
Okay.
Top secret. But hopefully, I see a lot of familiar faces here tonight. So hopefully, if you've not been across to see us, please do come across and see us. We're just across the way. We are Bury's independent record and coffee shop. We're a really kind of unique product, basically. As somebody who is married to a serial record purchaser and has to go in the, I think it's 7 record shops in Manchester city centre every time we're in Manchester, I have always yearned for somewhere to just sit down. And Wax and Beans offers that in buckets. So come across and, make yourself comfortable, flick through the records, have something to eat, have something to drink. But most of all, I think for us, the collaboration that happens between this building and that building is absolutely phenomenal. It absolutely brings so much to the town. We've had incredible recording artists come and play here as part of kind of partnerships. We've got Doves coming up at the beginning. At the beginning of October. We've had lottery winners passing around their #1 trophy when they got the #1 album. What a great night that was. We've had all kinds of brilliant acts. Not with Wax and Beans, but I just have to mention that Chesney Hawkes was on my wall.
Okay.
In reference to your poem.
There we go.
And has graced this stage. I've just lost all my coolness there. But yeah, it's that kind of collaboration and that community, isn't it? About culture. It's about putting Bury on the map and people wanting to come here and play here and stand on this stage and sing and dance and act like they're free.
And do you notice an upturn in your trade when there's something on here?
Absolutely. So I think that's what we really enjoy is kind of, I don't know whether this is official language that can be used or not, but it feels like this little part of town is the cultural quarter now. And, we really do see that when there are shows on, when there's events on where we've got lots of young families perhaps taking part in stuff, that really has a knock-on effect, a really positive knock-on effect for us over at the shop because we tend to get people coming across and having a wander if they've not been before. So
it's great to see organisations that might be rivals in some ways or not talk to each other actually working together and creating, adding value to both. I noticed that the Met here is up in its cake offer, and you have a fine cake offer on the road.
I'm not sure anyone's going to beat our cake offer.
Do you see the Gâteau Wars of Bury, great cake riot of 2025? Hopefully that will continue to be an excellent relationship. Thanks so much, Becky. Could you pass the mic to Paulette, please? Paulette.
Hello.
International DJ, legend of many a stage, and tell us about how you DJ'd here in very different circumstances, and what that says about the venue.
Yes, so I don't know, cast your mind back to 2020. It was the start of the pandemic. Everything had all gone a bit wobbly. And I'm a DJ, so I was unceremoniously benched. As were all the other DJs in the world and every other person that works in events. And it was a very dark and isolated time for me, just like everybody else. And then I had a call from Paul Fletcher at the Hacienda who said, we're going to do a live stream for the people that are at home. We're going to entertain the people that are at home. Do you want to be part of that? And in one way, I was really nervous about it because my family had already lost a couple of people to COVID, and I was nervous about, being anywhere near anyone at all at that time. But it just seemed really important to me to give people something to look forward to and to give people something to enjoy because it was a very dark and confusing time. So I said, yes, I will join the team. How's this going to how is it going to happen? Because we've got nobody standing in front of us. We're not entertaining anybody. We're going to do a live stream. And I didn't even really know what that was at the time, because also my life wasn't online in the way that it is now in 2020. We have made we had to make a massive leap of faith to do this thing, entertaining people online, and see if it worked. And the first Hacienda party we did here at Bury Met, we had 5 million views, which is a lot of people. It's a lot of people. But kind of fast forwarding to where we are now in 2025, I still have people from all around the world, whether it's in Australia or whether it's in Ibiza or Germany, wherever, people who will stop me and tell me how important the streams that came through here. And I did a few. I did Headstock, I did La Discotheque, I did various streams through here for different people. And I think I did 3 or 4 for the Hacienda. And I get stopped regularly by people who say, that saved my life. Wow. And I think it's something that everybody in this room should understand, is how significant a thing it was that Bury Met put their necks on the line, first of all, because it all had to be socially distanced, it all had to be meticulously planned. The artists that performed here had to have a letter from Andy Burnham allowing us to be on the street at that time, because we had to drive here and the police were stopping people for leaving their homes. So it was just really like the tactical side of it, the tactical side of putting these shows on was unreal. And also the team that worked on it were incredible. Anyone watching watching the streams would have believed that it was kind of performed in front of people. I was on this stage on my own. There was a cameraman there, a cameraman over there, and a sound guy up in the gods, and that was it. And to translate some kind of feeling from the music that I was playing, from my heart, to millions of people who I didn't even know where they were, is just a massive leap of faith. And it was an incredible thing that the Met did, allowing us to use this venue and to project that kind of community spirit online to the world. And, you know, it has to be said also that Manchester was at the absolute vanguard of anything like that through the pandemic, and thanks to Sasha Lord and Andy Burnham, because they came up with the idea to do it. And fantastic, you know, hats off to both of them, because here we are, and here I am on this stage saying how brilliant it was.
Incredible story, beautifully told. Thank you, Paulette. And doesn't that speak so incredibly about Manchester, about Greater Manchester, about the Met, the team here, everyone involved, the artists? I performed here too, and it was surreal coming in here under very, very strict COVID conditions and performing to an empty room. But Paulette and I were talking earlier, something we really appreciated as artists, who many of us weren't being supported over COVID. We appreciate some paid work being sent our way.
Massively,
so thank you.
Because it did support us in both in a little financial way, but more than that, in a psychological way. I had a breakdown through COVID, but it really gave me something to hang on to, and it gave a lot of other people. You know, music is like that. It creates a community, and it kind of taps into that feeling part of, and it allowed us to feel whatever way we felt about what was happening and who we were with or who we weren't with.
Thank you, Paulette. Could you pass the mic down to the end there for me, please? Thank you, Paulette. Amazing, amazing story. Beautifully told, as you say. If my poem was about anything, and researching the poem, speaking with people, including people here, It was about the spirit of the place that has seen it through. The building's been here in many iterations. Many staff have been here 20-odd years. Staff teams have changed. The bands and the haircuts have changed. But there's been an enduring spirit here. And so the spirit that's run through this place, I wanted to start with some contemporary tellings of how that spirit manifests itself for the town and on the dance scene and for Great Manchester. But let's go right back to the beginning with Dewi. Welcome, Dewi. And you painted a wonderful picture for me on Zoom the other day of how this place came about, the people involved, the spirit of the thing. Can you talk us about the spirit that guided this place from the very start and the practicalities?
Yeah, I think the first thing I should say is that there was one man who really made this place, Alan Childs.
Just say that name for us. We didn't quite catch it again.
Sorry?
The name again, sorry.
Alan Childs.
Alan Childs.
And Alan worked, he was a council officer working within the education department. But he was the guy who persuaded everyone to set up Bury Metro Arts. And it was it was really his commitment and the respect that people had for him that led to this whole place. I mean, my own situation was that I was 24 years old. I'd worked in Cambridge with the City Council in the Arts and Entertainments Department. Then I'd worked on the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, managing the Fringe Club for a year or 6 months. And the job was advertised. I had the interview, I came along, and I, to my surprise, got the job. I had no knowledge of Bury, although I knew Manchester. My brother lived here. And my first day would have been, I don't know what day Bury Arts really started, but it was in September sometime in 1975. And I arrived in what was to be my office, which was the corner of a desk in the CVS, the Council for Voluntary Services, which was just along the Rock. And my brief was, Bury has a population of 250,000. It doesn't have much in the way of cultural events. The art gallery was clearly here, and there were exhibitions on, but there was nothing else really. There was no cinema, nothing at all. And my job, I was told, was set up an arts association and bring the arts to Bury. Now, at 24, with no or very limited financial budgets to play with, I was rather stupid and very naive. And I brought things to Bury which I probably should not have.
Such as?
Well, as I say, I'd been working in Cambridge, I'd been working on the Fringe Festival. So I brought a wonderful street entertainer, Professor Crump, who wandered the streets of Bury. And actually that worked really well, but no one in Bury had seen a street performer before. Uh-huh. So there was a lot of confusion.
Confusion's good, can be.
And then at the other end, I was sort of quite keen on jazz at the time. And there was a jazz pianist, Stan Tracy, who was absolutely extraordinary. And a very well-known actor whose name escapes me at the moment. But together they put together a performance which was called the Under Milkwood Suite. Mm-hmm. And I put that on in Prestwich in the Longfield Centre. Oh, wow. Yeah, Longfield Centre.
Prestwich Massive.
And spent, literally weeks and weeks and weeks try to do publicity to get people to come along, because initially when I started, I spoke to everyone and they said, that won't work, no one will go to that. And we had a full house in the end.
Wow.
A lot of people from Manchester, a lot of people from throughout the Northwest, because this guy was a jazz legend. But it worked. And the thing was, the more you tried things, the more willing you found audiences were to accept them. So that was my challenge, on a table, given get the arts going in Bury. And we did it through events at different civic halls, we did festivals. We did a literature festival in which I got Alan Bleasdale and Willie Russell to come along, and a number of other writers and poets. So we did lots of things like that, and workshops as well.
So music, education, theatre, drama, outreach, festivals. And that word spirit, what was the relationship between yourself and the board? What spirit did they encourage you to have? What did they bring to it?
Well, I think the thing with Alan was that he trusted me. And so, and he was known by, I mean, it was a great board, and the board showed lots of trust in me as well, because they believed Alan. And that just allowed me to do things that would have been very difficult if it had been tight control. I mean, I have to be honest and say, at 24, I didn't know what I was doing. I was naive.
That can be a good thing.
I didn't know about budgets.
Fools rush in where angels fear to tread.
Exactly. And it's the naivety. Sometimes I think when you're working in the arts, it's best not to know what the problems are going to be.
True.
Yes.
How does it feel to realise now that from those very early and humble beginnings, this organisation is still here, still thriving, has served the local community for 50 years? What are your reflections on finding yourself here now?
Well, ultimately, I'm not surprised, because I think when I left, the role was taken on by my then deputy, Adrian Mealing. And Adrian was immense as well. He was very, very good at getting things going, developing gigs, which is the music side of things.
Is Adrian here with us this evening? I believe so.
No, unfortunately
He's not been able to make it. That's a shame.
So it was kind of, it had got itself established. And so it didn't feel as though there was any reason that it should close down. And partly because we were still working on very limited budgets. So, I mean, initially, I think there were 2 of us working here. When I left, there were 4. And we were doing everything, the lighting, running the bar, so doing just about everything. But the interesting thing, as I say, I started on a corner of the table in the CVS office. But after about, must have been a year, perhaps a bit longer, I noticed that what had been a NatWest bank on the corner of the Rock had become empty. And I had a word with Alan. I said, that'd be an interesting building for us to move into as our first premises. And Alan said, well, yeah, if you think it would work, find out about it and we'll see. We did. We moved into an old bank. We set that up as an exhibition gallery. In the basement, I bought an offset printer which allowed us to do publicity, things which we still carried on doing for gigs and the rest. And we were there for however long. And then, perhaps another 2 years later, I read something that the Derby Hall was a subject for concern within the local authority. They didn't know what to do with it. And again, I turned to Alan and said, perhaps we should have a look at it. And he said, well, Yes, why not? And so it's very much that sense of trust and belief.
Ambition.
And it's not really ambition. It was curiosity in a way. It's a sense of, can we do that?
Yeah. Well,
and you can, really.
We're very glad you did, Dewi. Dewi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask for a second round of applause for that in a moment. But I'm an ex-council officer myself. I worked for Manchester Council in housing and regeneration for 10 years, and then for Salford Council for 8 years. And it's important and great, I think, to hear that it was a Bury council officer who was the original visionary behind this, and the early chair, and this trust that you're speaking about. And you know, councils can get a bad rep, but councils at the best, local government, can be an absolute driver of positive things in our community. So let's hear it again. The Bury Council for Barry Child, for Alan Childs, and everybody. Thanks so much. It seems timely to talk about moving to the Derby Hall and to speak to a gentleman now who was key in those early years. We have Peter here. And Peter, I understand you were a volunteer promoter, as many people, run by volunteers in those early days, promoted a series of now legendary gigs on Tuesday nights here. Tell us about that, Peter. How did that come about? What spirit was that conducted in?
Anarchy, alcohol, and good times, I would say.
Yeah.
So I was at art college at the time, and a good friend of mine, Peter Godkin, knew Adrian Mealing, and Adrian liked the idea of having a music club as a venue, a place where acts who, at the time, to set the scene, in the late 70s, if you went into Bury Town Centre, half the pubs would have bands playing, easily. And nearly all of those bands would be playing their own music, not covers. There's a lot of people trying to get on. But they couldn't get further. There wasn't somewhere else. So what Adrian wanted to do was give them a stage and a potential audience of 370, I think it is, at Fire Eggs, which is a big step up if you're playing in a pub where you can only have 20 people or 50 people. So I went along to the Hare and Hounds in Holcombe Brook with them. We chatted about it, and we basically became a team which worked. We had a little legal document drawn up, probably by you, Dewi, under the auspices of Bury Metro Arts, which basically meant that they were kind of like responsible, but didn't really touch us at all. And we gave the bands 70% of the door, so they didn't get a fee. They got 70% of the door, 30% went back into the coffers, and the bar takings helped fund string quartets, poets.
Thank you.
And the bar takings were not modest. We soon discovered that with the right bands, early on, Adrian didn't really have a good measure of how much beer was needed, and we ran out several times until we'd kind of got things on a bit of an even keel. We ran every Tuesday night, and it was membership. So if you were a member, you got a much lower price on the door than if you were a non-member. And what that meant was we built up a steady audience who didn't care really what we put on. They trusted us. And we put on anything, punk, country, rock. It didn't really matter so long as they were independent bands, local, wanting to go somewhere. And then within quite a short period of time, cassette tapes started appearing at the office at Bury Met. And we'd go in and listen to those and then choose the acts. And generally we try and get 3 or 4 things on, not one. And it just grew. It became a really popular Tuesday night. And everybody talks about the Joy Division gig, but nobody says, this is where Elbow started, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently my brother was telling me that early on that Guy Garvey said he used to dream of playing at the Derby Hall. I bet he has nightmares about it now. So it was good, friendly. I was young, so I'd be about 18, I guess. Wow. And it's the first time I was treated as an adult and a peer by Adrian and Dewi, who just trusted me to be part of the team, contribute as if I worked here. I helped out with other things, you know, other events as well. And on a busy night, and that was most nights, I'll tell you about our least busy night in a minute, but on a busy night, because it was a small team, it wouldn't be unusual for me to have to leave art college. There's nobody who used to run the art colleges before this story. I had to leave the art college about halfway through Tuesday, come here. None of this fancy seating that takes 2 minutes to set up. It could take 2 hours to get the room in order. And we had to put it back the way it was for whatever it was going to be the next day. Work the door, taking the tickets and the money. Work the bar, and then do the lights. And now I didn't do that every night, but I did it a lot of nights. And then when it was all finished, help the PA down the fire escape through that door there, because there wasn't a loading lift at the time, and then put it all back. And I did get quite a telling off at one point when it was noted that I came in late on a Wednesday morning and went home early on a Tuesday, and somebody shot me and said I was helping run a music club. I said I would stop doing it, and I didn't. I just sort of upped my game in terms of timekeeping.
We're going to take some Q&A at the end, and I'm sure there's people like me who want to hear about the famous, now infamous Joy Division gig here that ended in something of a riot. But you mentioned the other day a theatre company?
Yeah, sorry, I did just say that the least audience we had here was 6 people on a night where it was really foggy, and the bands still went on and got there 70% of the door.
Listen, I'm a poet. I'd be happy with 6.
So we weren't, it was in our charter that we weren't allowed to make money, right? We weren't a profit-making thing. But it seemed to be quite hard not to. So we get to the end of the year, and there would be some money. So we had to do something with that money. So one year, we had a free night for members, and we hired the Madhouse Theatre Company, which used to have Sylvester McCoy in it, I think. Oh, yeah. And they had one of the funniest acts I've ever seen in my entire life. It was genuinely anarchic and just really, really funny. However, one of the part of the acts was they had the smallest theatre in the world, which was basically a little van with one person could go in and watch a show. So we all went outside to watch one person watching a show in the smallest theatre in the world. And the other thing that they couldn't do in here, for obvious reasons, was that the highlight of the show was that this guy set fire to his own head. Which he did by placing a metal funnel on his head, and then they poured some kerosene into the funnel, and then they lit it, and this guy was wandering up and down Market Street with his head on fire, with 350 people outside watching, and we were surprised when the police were called.
You weren't expecting it, Peter, but he's here tonight. Please welcome. Wonderful story. We could listen all night, Peter. Wonderful story. Thank you so much. We do have some time for questions at the end, as I say. Peter, remarkable career in any day and age, but particularly across these times, to sustain a 40-year career in music. 40 plus?
45 years next year.
Tell us about that journey. Tell us how you've alighted on Bury Met. Tell us why you come back every year. What is it about this place? Why do your fans travel all around the world to, as the poem says, a small town called Bury, to why does that happen?
Well, we started playing here in 1995, so we've been here for 30 years now. And most years we play here. I think I checked on our website, there's a gigography, that's a word these days. And most years we've played here. And what happens now is that we do weekenders, so we do 2 consecutive nights. So that's 2 different sets that we do. And it's really well supported, and people now have it as a fixture in their diaries, in their social calendars. And we're blessed in having people who thankfully like what we do, but I think crucially they like coming to the Met. It's always a welcoming, warm, calm environment here. It's always supportive of the performers, but also the audience as well, I think. And I think, in all the time that we've been coming here, we have played other places around the country, and in truth, some venues aren't designed for humans, really.
Absolutely.
You
come into a venue that works, and you think, why don't you just copy this?
Noticeably, there's one venue in London, I won't mention it by name, but when we have played there, the audience numbers have dropped, and then we play somewhere better the next year, and the audiences are back up again. So I think, the crucial thing with the Met is that people like coming here, and they always feel welcome. And I think, for IQ, for the band, next year it's our 45th year. Wow. And as you say, I think we've played probably the Met more times than any other venue, really. And I think there's a reason for that, and the reason being that it's always a joy to play here. So it's always been a pleasure and a privilege for us to be here. I've stood on this stage many times. I think this is the first time I've actually sat down on this stage. So I might do that from now on. It's nice.
Is there a certain vibe in the room? Is it an acoustic? Is it a sight line?
Well, I think
is
crucially,
it a vibe?
when we do the 2 nights, the first night is seated, and the second night is standing. And both nights, I'm happy to say, they always sell out. But the first night, the seated night, those seats go very quickly. And I think there's a certain kind of age consideration there. Certain members of our clientele, they like to sit down, and I'd be the first to say that as well.
I heard the phrase the other day, 2 to 4 hour party people. That's
I love that.
So we're all I can't claim that one, but I'm having it. But just a note, Paulette will tell you, Noreen will tell you, as artists you go into a venue and there's something magical or sometimes not right about the vibe, but it's also to do with the welcome from the staff and the tech team, and Terry and Craig and Chris have worked here over 20 odd years. Terry's been here 26 years. So some of the things that make a place very special are intangible, they're magical, and some of them have names, and those are the guys. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
When is your next fan event here?
February. I'm actually here on my birthday.
There we go.
When I'll be 50. And so we're doing 2 nights in February, and they sell out very quickly.
And people travel.
People travel. This is the other thing. People travel from all around the UK to get here, but also from Europe, from America. There was, I think it was last year, we were doing that thing that bands do now, where we play an album in its entirety. And there was one guy who came over from New York because he liked that album. And I said, "You've come to Bury to hear this 50 minutes of music." Yeah, I love this album. So I think in our own little way, we're helping to put Bury and the Met specifically on the international map. And I think also, we help out with the local economy. Everybody that comes to the gigs stays at the Premier Inn. And I think they price it accordingly.
But, everything's Premier and the price that weekend.
Yeah, and then people go across to Wax and Beans and all the local hostelries. So I think we're doing our little bit to help the.
Absolutely, Peter, ladies and gentlemen, IQ, check them out. When I wrote the poem, if you were to hear it again, you'd hear I said this venue, this art sub of global renown. And I paused for a moment thinking whether I could truly say that. National renown, special renown I played with. But from international artists coming here from all over the world, taking that reputation away, but not just that, bringing their audiences to Manchester, to Greater Manchester, to Bury, spending money in the town. It's what it's all about. Peter, thank you. Congratulations. Let's hear from Noreen. What about the boots, ladies and gentlemen? What about the boots? They deserve their own round of applause. Noreen, tell us about your very last. Tell us about your first visits here. Tell us about your role here over the years as somebody who's been involved in many productions. Tell us about some here. What's special about this place?
Shall I do that one or that one?
Whichever you're comfortable with.
Neither. Hello. Well, I went to Bury. I was born in Jericho, Bury, and then I went to Bury Convent. Way up the convent, and I'm sure we must have come to the Derby Hall, and come to gigs. Thank you very much at the Derby Hall when I was a teenager, a long time ago, and the Met has always just been very, very special. And I used to come and watch things here. And I got asked to do the pantomime at the Met. The Snow Queen, was it, Terry? I want to make it. And Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I'm here all week.
And that's where I first experienced just what an amazing venue. I mean, the mics have just improved 20 million times since then. And the actual technical staff. And also, it's really important. I've been in this audience when there's been like medical emergencies, and I've seen Nathan. It's the most beautiful front of house staff. Really good. And I think it's that makes the venue so special. It's very welcoming, no matter what age you are, how little you are. There's a space for you in this venue. And so we did the pantomime, and I see that I'm not going to go on. Oh, loads of different ages, but also I did a play with a tetraplegic poet called Owen Lowry, and the Met enabled Owen to do a show here. There was film in it, there was Owen, and there was actors, and it was so moving. And the Met and the staff let that happen. So I think it's kind of universal in its appeal. I'm not going to go on because I want to hear your questions. But just total respect to the menu. To the menu?
Menu?
To the
venue? Menu?
I won't even do it. To the menu and the venue.
Listen, how I wrote the poem without rhyming venue with menu, I don't know, but I'm making notes. Can we refilm it? Can we shoot another scene? Before we let Noreen go,
Oh, no.
I was at pains to mention.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
I was at pains to mention panto in the poem. Tell us about the importance of panto to a company, to a venue, to audiences, to a theatre.
It's like you said, you leave with more. Because you come and sometimes it's the kids' first experience of the theatre. And are they going to be scared? Where do you place it? And what ages come? So you start with the littlies, and the Met does cater for everybody, but the big tiny caters for all the different ages in the pantomime. And you leave better than you came. Mm-hmm. You come in a bad mood to a pantomime, you leave, it's gone. And you join in. And it's tradition, and we know where we are with tradition, but there's certain little touches, certain modern touches that are just enthralling. And then for the company that is putting the pantomime on, you think you're going to be tired out, but it's the most heartwarming experience. You don't mind doing how many shows you do a week, because each kid is special.
That verse in the poem meant a lot to me. I literally never went anywhere as a kid. I never went to the seaside. A day in Debdale Park was a big day for me. I went to the pictures 2 or 3 times. But I did go to the theatre to see pantomimes. My dad, whichever clubs he was in, would put a few pounds a week, and we went to the pantomime at Stockport and Ashton, and it was major for me. And in the poem I wrote, so totally joyful, we cry at the end, you know, all the feels, as they say, in a panto. And Jack, who put the video together, shot the video when you see it, Jack's a panto dame of huge acclaim. So let's hear it for the panto guys. I was thrilled when you said, oh, yes, it is. I was going to do it twice, so you did, but you beat me to it. David, sir, sat there pacing in the middle. David's contribution here was how many years, David?
I was here 25 years.
25 years, ladies and gentlemen.
Also very young when I started.
Man and boy, David, you don't look old enough, sir. So as I said earlier, David started here as marketing manager, exec director, through to artistic director, moved on not so long ago. David, tell us about the place you inherited, tell us about the spirit you found, tell us about that spirit you took forward and what that looked from where you were sitting.
Yeah, I mean, I started as marketing manager, and one of my earliest memories is I took the marketing team out to Millgate Shopping Centre. You know, because they said that people didn't know about the Met. So we took the brochures out, paper brochures, and we pushed them into people's hands. I think Nick was alongside me for that point. And we'd been there for an hour. People were being quite polite and nice to us. And a guy came up to me and he said, why don't you just put on something that people want to come and see? Then
There's an idea.
Then you wouldn't have to do this. And I was really disappointed. I didn't have an answer at that point. I took it on board. And that sort of, you know, I think, you know, looking back, what the Met does is not necessarily do what's been done before. And that's the kind of the joy of having support of Bury Council and the Arts Council and public funded arts, where you can take risks and you can try new things and it moves things on. And I genuinely think that the Met audience are very supportive and that the Met's in good health, because there's a respect in terms of what the Met's done over the years. And that's from starting out and supporting communities, the outreach work that happens, the festivals that we start and we do, and the programme, the international artists that we bring in. And I think that there's always been there's a percentage that I'm stuck with. Nick, you know, factually will tell me I'm wrong, but it's a good story, is that you know, 50% of the people are from Bury or from immediate areas. Mm-hmm. And 50% of the people that come a little bit further because they've heard of the Met and they want to come and see the things that we do. And I think that's the sort of spirit in which we move forward and how we want to inspire and kind of and take those risks and kind of keep things going. In programming the Met, it's, you know, there's a fantastic audience that's here. You know, up to 3 times a month they come for stuff and they tell you what they've seen and what they want to see, and it's, you know, it's a very responsive venue and always has been. And I think there was a conversation about sound and acoustics, and you know, if there's anything wrong, it gets listened to and it gets fixed very quickly as well. So I loved working at the Met. It's an organisation that can pivot, that can change, that can be responsive in terms of changing communities, and always has done over its 50 years. I'm really pleased to say.
25 years, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take that opportunity and bring the rest of the panel in. We've reached this amazing milestone here. These are challenging times for many industries, many communities out there. We've taken this milestone. Let's just take a moment to reflect on, you mentioned the health of the place. Well, can you lead us through some of the challenges currently, David, and some of the things that the Met needs to be thinking about? And we'll bring artists in then as well.
Yeah, I mean, as with any, you know, grassroots music venue, is, you know, it's a very difficult business to be in. It's very small margins. The opportunity to take risk is not always backed by the kind of financial kind of income against those risks. So it's really important to do the partnership work, the bringing in the other funders. Victoria, Chief Exec, has done an absolutely awesome job. You know,
give us away, Vic.
You know, which is a complicated job. It's a program. It's selling tickets, but it's also bringing on board partnerships that allow you to try things that haven't been done before, and just to keep things going as well. So it's a really complicated model, but you know, the value of the arts and the value of the things that people see in this room. You know, you talk about playing in a room with nobody in it or playing in a room with 6 people in it. You know, the best things that have happened in this venue have been performed to quite small numbers of people. Mm-hmm. And those artists appreciate that and build on that. Mm-hmm. It's a really important part of the ecology of where artists can develop and what they
You
go
said
into
something to
as
me
well.
on Zoom the other day about not just thinking that an arena career is where it's at.
Yeah, equally, and people throughout the 25 years, people say the Met. Who would I heard of who's played there? And it's not really the point of a venue of this scale where artists can sustain and build careers and take risks and do interesting stuff, really, which you don't necessarily see at arenas.
Let me bring Peter and Paulette in, if I may, as contemporary artists, people still out there doing their thing. So, talk to us about some of the challenges that the scene, that the nighttime economy is facing, and what that means for venues and artists and what we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, I think at the moment, we know like nightlife and it is in crisis in a certain way. But the thing that you said about, where do artists start? Excuse me. It is here. You said that Elbow started their career here. We have had Joy Division. And I think the problem at the moment is if it all goes huge, Co-op Live, AO Arena and everything, it's killing the pipeline for the new artists to come through. So these places, Bury Met, becomes more and more essential because it can at least offer that to new and upcoming artists, because otherwise there is nothing. That's what I feel. We have to encourage people to come out to this size of venue. It's not all about 10,000, 15, 20, 30,000 people. We need the smaller places.
Mm-hmm. Can we bring Peter in there? Your thoughts on that, Peter?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's about finding the level that you're happy with, finding the level that works. I think when we play here, there's a symbiotic relationship between the band and the audience. And I think, if the audience wasn't there, we'd just be standing on our own on the stage. If we weren't here, the audience would be looking at an empty stage. The best experiences that I have are when the division between the stage and the audience disappears, and it's everybody sharing the same experience in the same room at the same time. And I think it's all about finding the level that you're happy with. If we could play to 3,500 people, would we want to do that? I don't think so, because then the relationship that you have with an audience is entirely different. You're not feeding off each other. The transference of energy isn't the same.
Thank you. And I wanted to pick up on that point of division. In these divided times, there are forces in this world that are trying to divide us. And what are the arts about but coming together and sharing joy, sharing emotion, sharing feelings, sharing a standpoint, finding joy and comfort and resilience in each other. And being a freelancer is scary at the moment. The people here on salaries, to not know what you're going to earn this year, this month, this week, to take that news back to your family, to continue to plough your furrow can be terrifying. And when your art involves taking a stance as well, that can be doubly scary. So, the arts, just sharing joy, just sharing community is an act of defiance. And let's celebrate everybody who comes together to do that, I think, whether it's venues or artists. I think we've got a handheld mic. Let's take a couple of questions from the audience. Can I see a couple of hands up, please, whilst we take the mic around, and then we'll bring things to a close. I see a couple of hands up, please. Somebody at the back there. Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
This isn't a question, it's a thank you to Noreen.
Okay.
So Belinda and I, you might not remember us, Noreen, but you inspired us with the Northern female voices. And we were just two ordinary women, and there was loads of people, and we attended your workshop. One of the things that you said was, always give it a go. Because one of the things is you were stood on the stage and somebody knocked your confidence and you never did what you wanted to do. And we stuck with that. And I'm still a teacher, boring still, but I do attend poetry workshops. You do pantomimes, don't you, Belinda? Our other friend Jo, who's not here tonight, she's doing stand-up comedy at the Frog and Bucket. So it started here last year, and thank you so much, because watch this space, guys. Watch this space.
Oh,
That's what we want to hear. Thank you.
thank you. I see you in the bar.
Can I see another hand, maybe, please? Can I see another hand? Gentleman down there, can we get the mic to the gentleman here? Quick as we can, Chris. Round of applause for Chris.
Hi,
Sir.
Chris. The refurbishment of the Met, in my opinion, secured its future. What threats do you see for the arts in Bury going forward?
What threats was that?
Yeah, what threats?
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of really important big shifts that happened in the building, kind of right through from early 80s to creation of the studio theatre and the restaurant in the late 80s, and kind of that ambition to keep pushing the building because the organisation wanted to do more. We had a huge refurbishment in 2014, which took sort of 7 or 8 years lead-in time to kind of to build up and to actually take place. And I mean, you know, kudos to all of the staff that were here at that time and are still here, because it was a time of fixing leaks and running around and waiting for the building to fail completely in terms of what we wanted to do. The refurbishment was £4.6 million, and it really just went into doing taking care of the building, bringing it up to what we wanted to do with it. And you know, from that point onwards, actually, the refurbished building was a point when we started to engage with different partnerships where we had trust and foundations interest in what we were doing. And actually, people looked at the organisation, saw the building, and thought, actually, there is a chance it will still be here in 3 to 5 years, because up to that point, the building really didn't look as if it would last. Mm-hmm. So it was a really essential part of the building's history. 2014 is quite a long time ago. It's due some more investment and some more kind of development to make sure that it keeps kind of thriving as opposed to just surviving as a building as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it for everyone behind that incredible project. Thank you. We'll just take, I'm sensing we might need a comfort break, and I'm also know people have got free beer vouchers in their goodie bags, and there's a bar out there. Let's take 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll
There's one right at the back.
Go on, Chris. Where are we? Oh, sorry, Chris, it's down the front.
Behind you.
It's behind you.
Hello, thank you.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
The Cabinet Member for Culture in Bury and a proud member of the Met Board. So first I wanted to say thank you very much to everyone who's on the panel today. Tony, your poem was inspiring, and as someone who represents my hometown, it was just unbelievable to hear you put into words what I never could about the place that I love so much.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Yeah. And to everyone on the stage, I think it's been really inspiring to hear the past, the kind of present and the future, but particularly maybe Peter and Dewey, to hear the origin stories in a way that I've never heard. It was absolutely fantastic. As I say, I am a board member and on the council. Sometimes maybe those two things don't always go hand in hand. So thanks to everyone who else is on the board. And I don't know if Lindsay's here, but she does a sterling job in difficult times. I sort of have a question. I was a bit like you. I just wanted to say thank you, but I'll turn it into a question. You've touched on it, kind of pearls of wisdom. What would you advise me as the person responsible for culture in Bury? What can I do best? And don't say money, please. To support the Met going forward. Thank you.
Who'd like to speak to that? Peter?
Money. Ask the people at the sharp end. Take risks that aren't risks. Work with the community. Trust people. And
Very good.
just do. One of the great things of coming back here after so long is to find that it works in exactly the same way that it did when I was here and when Dewi was here. It's just got the same beating heart, the same cooperative trust. Don't lose that. That's the way to do it.
I can see Dewi nodding at the end there.
One of the things that part of the job was initially was to work with community groups, to work with arts organisations within Bury. And I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but probably 2 years after I started, the council handed over all their grant-making responsibilities for the arts to Bury Metro Arts. I don't know if the association still has that role. But what it did was it made us, it was bad in a sense that we became paymasters, but it meant that the way that we treated it was that we got incredibly engaged with our local community. And I think, as Pete just says, that's the key to it. It's the links to those people working within the community. I got to meet people from Besses of the Barn Band. Yeah. And I had no knowledge of brass bands. My wife is sitting down there, and I took her to a concert up in Ramsbottom at the Civic Hall with Besses of the Barn Band. She'd never been to a brass band concert before. She was in tears. Mm. The music was just so moving.
Not the original Northern Soul, you know?
Yeah, exactly, really. But I think it's just that principle of really engaging. And even though, you know, we were effectively controlling that money, we were doing it in agreement with the people who needed it. And I think that's just so important.
Really important message. Thanks to everyone who's spoken there. Thank you. Maybe a final question. Anybody? Gentleman there. Could we get the mic to... come on, Chris. There we go. There we go. You're doing well, Chris. You'll sleep tonight.
Hello, David. This is Jim Hurst. I'm wearing tonight with great pride my 2011 Ramsbottom Festival T-shirt.
Yay.
It's the 14 years this weekend that we were clearing the Ramsbottom Cricket Club with huge squeegee mops because of the amount of water that was on the pitch. And nothing's changed. Obviously, there's a massive thank you there, but what it did for me personally as a volunteer was, it gave me a massive sense of belonging, because we had a week before this event and quite a few days after the event and everything else that we did during the event, and the quality of the stuff that you managed to get together to bring to Ramsbottom is just absolutely unbelievable. Now, I know I'm speaking to you yourself, David, but the team that was involved and has been involved with the Met ever since I've been involved with the Met are just beyond belief. They are seriously beyond belief. On my wall, for instance, I have one of your posters with one of your poems on, signed by Bob Geldof. Bob Geldof came to Ramsbottom Cricket Club because somebody had the imagination, the courage, and the determination to have this vision of outreach that the festival actually did for so many years. Just absolutely fantastic. So, thanks for that.
I think that's a fantastic... Imagination, courage, belief, vision. Let's hear it for everybody at the Met, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there a question over there?
We could... is there somebody there with a question they're very keen on? Somebody at the front there, can't quite see.
Yeah.
Chris, and then we'll wrap things up. Thank you.
Hi, this
Last
is a question
thank you.
for Noreen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm older than the Met, so I'm not entirely sure whether this memory I've got is of the Met and involves Noreen. So
Oh
apologies
my
if
God.
it isn't.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the mid-80s, after I dropped out of college and stuff, me and my brother came to a community project here, and I think you were leading it. We ended up there was a few of us, and we ended up writing a little play and performing a little play, and it was called Paper Town. And the reason why I think it was you were sort of like helping us write this little story, and there's one thing you said, which I remember to this day. You said, it was some sort of improv, and you said you came across somebody who was flashing once, and you said to the bloke who was flashing, I've seen chips bigger than that. Does that sound like something you would have said? Is it a memory from the Met or not? I can't remember.
Doesn't sound like Noreen at all, that.
I think this was before... because see, I remember you first from Albion Market. That's when I sort of like became acquainted with you as an actress. So I think it was something prior to that from the mid-80s.
Your sister.
Well, they say leave them laughing, they said. There'll be a few closing words from me in a moment. But for now, please join me in welcoming in thanking our panel, Dewi, David, Paulette, Noreen, Peter, Becky. Thank you.